Good morning. Super psyched to be here. I want to walk through a few high-level things that really will bring you up to speed on the state of the USDC economy. And as the tagline says here, the USDC economy today is strong. It's been an extraordinary number of years in the growth of USDC. USDC launched just around 6 years ago, and it has grown now to support over $16 trillion of on-chain transactions, which is incredible. And if you've been paying attention to social media as of late, you'll have seen that stablecoin transactions, on-chain stablecoin transactions, have decoupled from crypto trading. And so we're really seeing stablecoins take hold as the killer app of transactions in the blockchain space. We've seen a lot of scaling, not just in the number of transactions, but in other key areas. USDC is now available on 15 different blockchain networks. We just announced yesterday that USDC is launching on Sui as well, which will be the 16th. It's available in hundreds of countries, 35 billion in circulation, which has continued to grow this year. And CCTP, which is a really critical building block for developers who are trying to build useful applications that span all of these different blockchain infrastructures, has done 12.6 billion in volume. But I just want to drill into that a little bit more. When you look at this space today, it's a fragmented space. The innovation that's happening in layer 1s, layer 2s, app chains is causing this proliferation of block space and the environments where people are building different types of apps. Our belief is that that is only going to continue, and you're seeing these app chain sort of stacks on top of layer 2 architectures. And the bottom line is that end users, whether you're making a peer-to-peer payment or you're going to play a game or you're going to participate in a prediction market, or you're going to do something else on a blockchain, you actually don't care what blockchain it is, unless it's like you're using it because you own it. But you don't really care. And what you care about is a seamless experience. And we saw that fragmentation was causing a lot of issues. Locked assets, capital inefficiency, security vulnerabilities. And so we set out to build a protocol, CCTP, which launched just over a year ago, and now accounts for approximately 85% of all cross-chain USDC traffic. So CCTP has become the essential building block for anyone building in a multi-chain world. And given the role of USDC in the broader on-chain ecosystem, this is really, really critical. We're doing a lot more with this. We'll be having some really exciting announcements around this in the near future. But we view this layer, this interoperability layer, as a really critical and powerful part of how we make stablecoins ubiquitous and usable in every kind of application on the internet. I also want to touch on just a drill down into part of what makes USDC so special, which is it's the most transparent, liquid, and safe digital dollar in the world. And there's a few things just to touch on here. And some of you may already know some of this, but it's really important to touch on. The first is, you can see on the left, this is the balance sheet of USDC. And USDC, nearing 36 billion right now. It's cash that is held with several of the largest global systemically important banks in the world. Those are too big to fail banks with effective backstop of the governments, with banks that are custodians of cash. And the remainder is in treasury or treasury repo, all short duration, the safest, most liquid assets in the world. But not just is this the asset mix, it's how we disclose it. The Circle Reserve Fund, which is issued by BlackRock and is an SEC-supervised fund, gives daily transparency into every single instrument in the Circle Reserve. So you can have full confidence. There's no wondering what's there. It's transparent, it's regulated, and it's visible to everyone. But you don't just have to take our word. USDC, we report on minting, redemptions, asset flows on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. No one else does that. Most importantly, and other firms in the industry will say you can't get a Big Four auditor to audit your company in the space. That is simply not true. Circle has been audited by Deloitte & Touche for years, and they provide regular attestations to and assurance around this. So most transparent, liquid, and safe digital dollar in the world. And that's critical as people want to build all kinds of applications on top of this really critical market infrastructure. That's the USDC dimension. I want to talk for a minute about what we describe as the Circle stablecoin network. Circle is building a platform and network utility-based business. Our stablecoin network is all of the pieces of software, all of the end-user applications, all of the blockchain infrastructure, all the liquidity providers, on and off ramps, and all the pieces that make this work as a coherent global network. And at the center of that is our core platform. And that's not just the digital asset USDC or EURC. We've been scaling out public blockchain infrastructure, our stablecoin protocol, CCTP, and we're going to be launching more public chain infrastructure that's useful to any developer, any user in the world. It's the liquidity infrastructure and the banking infrastructure that exists now with 24/7 create, redeem of USDC in the US, Europe, Brazil, Mexico, Singapore, Hong Kong, and more coming. Providing that infrastructure is part of the platform that we're providing to the rest of the world to build on. And then increasingly, we're building app services on top of this, our programmable wallets that allow developers to bring to market multi-chain apps that safely use USDC. On top of the Circle platform is now a partner ecosystem, and that partner ecosystem is literally thousands of companies, many of whom may be in the room here today, that are building on and integrating USDC and Circle's platform across an incredible array of use cases and geographies. And all of that combined serves users, end users, businesses, et cetera, everywhere in the world, building what we believe will become the largest and most widely used stablecoin network in the world. There's always a lot of talk about use cases in crypto, and we talk about that a lot with stablecoins specifically. We are seeing a proliferation in the use cases of stablecoins across not just digital asset trading, where USDC is a critical piece of the infrastructure, but in tokenization, in consumer payments, in traditional capital markets, bringing those assets on-chain, in store of value with some of the largest companies in the world. So we're seeing those novel use cases drive utility, and there's a lot of talk right now about moving from infrastructure to consumer applications, and we're really passionate about seeing technologies like USDC become visible and usable with global scale retail applications where people don't even necessarily know that they're using USDC. And I'm really excited today to bring up an amazing partner and company who's working with us and talk about some of the things that we're doing together. And so with that, I'm going to introduce Shane Copland, founder and CEO of Polymarket. Come on up, Shane. How's it going?
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, thanks for coming and talking here today. We've got a couple of cool things to talk about. But maybe first, just the 1-minute elevator pitch on Polymarket. I'm sure everyone knows Polymarket, but for those that don't.
Exactly. So Polymarket is the world's largest prediction market. And simply put, the idea is people can bet or trade on the outcome of events. And the idea behind that is that when you let people trade with one another on the outcome of something, you get price discovery. And that becomes the most accurate way to discern the likelihood. So people can use Polymarket, and they have adopted Polymarket as a way to understand the likelihood of important events in real time.
Awesome. So you guys made a decision really early on when you started to build on USDC, and I'm very grateful for that. But I'd love for you to just take a moment to sort of say, like, why is USDC the right thing for a platform like Polymarket?
Absolutely. So I think that if you think about the perfect stablecoin, and obviously there's the decentralization maximalism stablecoins, but the perfect for consumer applications, you want to get the perfect blend of the on-chain properties of a stablecoin, where it's transparent and it's programmable, as well as the elements that are going to flirt with traditional finance. And I think what USDC got perfectly right is it's the blend of trustlessness and trustworthiness. And when we were starting, we were building Polymarket very early on. Empirically, USDC was the thing that people gravitated the most to in terms of it feeling trustworthy. That also had all the properties of a stablecoin, which was what was necessary for Polymarket to work as an on-chain application.
Yeah, super compelling. So I know, like, going from where you are today to like the future of these kinds of markets, like you want to make that work a lot more seamlessly for a lot more people all around the world. I'm excited to announce that we've entered into an agreement to collaborate significantly more on adopting, Circle's new infrastructure, CCTP, and other things that are going to streamline how USDC gets enabled for your users. But just talk a little bit about the collaboration with Circle, and also, like, what do you envision as, like, that end state for the kind of experience that's made possible by building together?
Absolutely. And first of all, thank you to you guys for being excellent partners and supportive, and always being there whenever we need something. And I think that if you take a step back, the beauty of what you guys have built with USDC, and what we're able to be a beneficiary of as a product that's built on top of it, is you guys have shown that you can be the bridge between the two worlds. You could say TradFi and on-chain. And it's exciting because the more and more work that you guys put towards getting, you say about the terminal flow, which I really do believe is like as close to Apple Pay as possible, or as close to these traditional P2P payments apps that are as just clicking a button. If you can go and get that right, and you can pave the way by engaging with regulators all around the world and doing what's necessary in order to make that happen in a compliant fashion, that also gets people into these on-chain applications. Things like Polymarket will be able to, one, maintain transparency and being an on-chain, globally accessible application that everyone can verify. And on the flip side, it'll still be as frictionless as things that we're used to, and that's the golden ratio there. So I'm excited to be part of the endeavor.
Well, it's super cool. Love building together. Thank you for joining. Excited for the next phase of the collaboration as well. Take care. Thanks, Shane. So I want to conclude with a few high-level thoughts about where we're going with all of this. And the phrase that I like to use is that we're building the internet financial system. And that internet financial system is going to be entirely built on-chain. And we're still in the very early stages of this. When you think about the maturation of this infrastructure, stablecoins, blockchains as legal infrastructure for money is just coming into being right now. But as we envision a world where increasingly an enormous percentage of what is payment utility that we think of today for users and businesses and in financial applications will move on-chain. As payment utility moves on-chain and more currencies become stablecoin currencies, we're going to see the development of on-chain FX markets that are as efficient or even more efficient than existing FX markets, and that provide direct and real-time settlement across these in programmable and composable ways. And we're already seeing some of that happen today. We're going to see organizations, obviously already a DAO or a startup can operate their entire treasury on-chain with a product like Safe, or many other products that are being built up like that. But the benefits of using your working capital, holding your treasury assets, and doing those all on-chain are going to become clearer to more and more companies. And in the future, I believe, just like every company is online, every company will be on-chain with their treasury. And so that movement into treasury management, which then in turn, as we have payment utility and capital held in these ways on-chain, that's going to lead to an explosion in on-chain credit. And I believe that in the next 10 years, credit intermediation that is entirely intermediated using on-chain smart contracts, using risk management that's verifiable to the whole world, and I'm not just talking about margin borrowing on crypto assets, I'm talking about traditional forms of credit, unsecured credit, real-world credit for real economic growth and investment will move on-chain and will benefit from the kind of market structures that we can build in this environment. We're already seeing today other forms of intermediation happening. On-chain AI agents are going to transact increasingly. And literally, as new models come into existence, like the O1 model from GPT this last week, we are rapidly approaching a world where agents are conducting more work on our behalf, and agents are interacting with other agents with speed, with velocity, and scale. We don't, as an economy, have an infrastructure for a world of agentic economic activity at scale around the world. And we believe that blockchains and stablecoins are going to be a critical part of that world, of how the agent-based economic system is going to work. And we're already experimenting with that. I'm going to be showing some cool stuff at another event later this week on that. And you're seeing more and more products and SDKs coming out around this use. I think 2025 is going to be a very big year for that. On-chain commerce and on-chain corporations is speaking to a couple of specific ideas. In a world where payment utility basically becomes a commodity-free service on the internet built on stablecoins and blockchains, and corporations are holding value on-chain for their everyday operations, commerce itself, which is not just transactions, it's the economic arrangements that happen between people and businesses and between businesses and each other, are going to be intermediated on-chain, intermediated through software and smart contracts, and an increasing number of the contracts that we have that sustain our organizations today are also going to become on-chain. We're going to move from an off-chain, offline world of the intermediation of contracts to an on-chain world of that. And ultimately, I believe that will lead us to a world where on-chain corporations become the typical configuration. And I don't have a time frame for this, but just like organizations in the 90s first began to get online because they thought, hey, this is this new environment where I could maybe put a brochure or take a customer question. Now, when we look at organizations today, a huge number of organizations fundamentally operate online. Similarly, I believe that many of the largest, most successful, highest velocity, highest output corporations in the world will be exclusively on-chain. And so all of these things are building together, and we're in the very early stages of all of this taking place, but it's an exciting time to be building and really grateful to be able to share all of this with you today. Thank you.